Actually, Barry, but that was my handwriting, I was reading. Okay, so this is the best I could come up with. The first time I had a car get hit and run. And the first time I understood why we black men call each other brother. All right, so I'm from Minnesota, and as you know, there were only 2 black people from Minnesota. Me and Prince. And both of us left. Detroit is my home now. All right, so it goes like this. I was in college and I got the best college job I ever had, working at the post office. This was back in '76, $4.75 an hour. Vacation time, sick pay was a fortune. So I went out and bought my favorite car, which was a Ford Pinto station wagon. All right? They became known as death traps. Mine never, blew up. Nobody can understand why I had such an attraction for this car, but it became my personality, the blue Pinto. I drove it everywhere. I loved flipping the seat down, and if I was on the highway, pulling over to the side and taking a snooze. All right, so anyway, one of the 40 times I dropped out of school, I got a job as an ambulance driver. And in the course of this job, ambulance drivers and policemen are kind of one on the street because they know who has to pick them up when they get shot or hit or whatever, so they're very different to us. They love us. And I made friends with this cop named Tom Tripp, and Tom was a trip, but we'll get to that. So at any rate, Easter Sunday morning, 1977, I come out, it's a beautiful day, and I noticed my car. It was like the Easter Bunny had come and taken a big chunk out of the rear end on the driver's side, and I was devastated. So I called the St. Paul Police Department. They came, by the height of the damage, it was probably a pickup truck, it was lime green. No, we can't do anything for you, sorry, call your insurance. Well, of course, I only had liability insurance, and it wouldn't cover it. So at any rate, about 2 weeks later, remember this was back in '76, I get a call from the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, and back then with the computers, they said, we have these 2 reports that crossed your accident, and somebody in a trailer park called in Easter morning and said that their neighbor, who they must have hated, came home from Saturday night play with a big dent on the passenger side of his lime green pickup truck. There was a match. I said, well, you're going to go get the guy now? We don't have time for that. You're on your own. So they did give me his driver's license number, and I found my buddy Tom Tripp, and he says, I'll run the number for you. He comes back to me, he says, now look, Pally, he says, call this guy up, don't start messing with him on the phone. Just call him up, ask him if he's having a nice day, whatever, but don't start messing. So I called this guy 3 times before I got him. I left messages, hey, I'm the guy with the Pinto. So he answers the phone. And going back, the other thing that Tom warned me about, he said, this guy's going to tell you that he was out partying and he came out and found his pickup truck and all this damage was on it, and he doesn't know how it got there. So I called the guy up and he said, don't call my house anymore. And he said, and the other thing is, I don't know what happened to your car. I was down in the community partying, having some drinks. I came out, my pickup truck had all this damage on it. I called my wife, we drove around, we found the truck, and I don't know what happened. So to make a long story short, I started pressuring this guy. And it turned out he had 3 DUIs, and that was back when you could drink and drive. Drink and drive. Drink and drive. So, at any rate, I finally wind up talking to his attorney, and he says, I don't know, you can talk to him. I said, look, just like he denies it, I can find 3 people to put him at the scene. So the next day he calls me up really humble and says, look, I will pay for your car, even though I didn't do the damage. I have one favor to ask you. Can we go to this body shop where I know the guy? So I said, sure. So he shows up at my house, he's a black guy. So we go to the shop, and his friend, it's about 5:30 in the afternoon, who's going to work on my car, I get out of the car, and this guy had probably been hitting the bottle for 2 hours. He looks at me and said, how did you get all of that nigger out of that little car? And I said, this is the guy that's going to work on my car? So I go back a week later. Believe it or not, the guy meets me there. The car is beautiful. He really did fix it, but he's not there. And there's a white guy there who's going to take the money. So my hitter. I don't know what else to call the guy. He says, look, I didn't hit his car, do the damage, but I'm going to pay for it. So this white guy looks at us and he says, no wonder y'all call each other brothers. Just think about it. He didn't damage your car, but he's paying for it. So in the end, it was the first time that I understood why we call each other brothers.